about. Whoop, nope, that's.
Hello, and welcome to Dire Bear Adventuring Company. I am Captain Sack, your Dire Bear GM, also known as Heath for those of you who have seen me out in the real world. Tonight, my role will be the ship known as the Praetor. As you join the Dire Bear Adventuring Company through its first sci-fi campaign, based loosely off of the rules set for Traveler, Mongoose 2nd Edition. It's a 2d6 game. Most of the stats are a modifier set by a score, and then you roll 2d6 to hit target number. This game will be mostly driven by the story, the narrative, with conflict being mostly interpersonal conflict. This should be a tense situation, as the Praetor itself is a colony ship. Thousands of souls aboard, hurtling through the void of space to a final destination of a new planet, Centauri 7. The ship has already set course. We will join our crew shortly. But first, I want to introduce our players, and we'll bring them in. I want to go ahead and say
Your audio just
some.
cut out. Sorry.
But first, we'll introduce some of our players. I want to make sure that we see that there are some new faces and some old, and not all of our players are with us just yet. We should be joined either a little bit later or on next session by one of the players. But we will be introducing them one at a time here shortly as they come along. I do want to go ahead and say that we'll try to be for everyone. Some of the material that we do cover is a bit on the mature side, so viewer discretion is advised as always. So welcome once again to Alone in the Void. The Praetor has set sail for its final destination. The crew, making their final checks, had went into deep sleep. The colonists are all well within. The Praetor itself is designed to be a multifunctional device. It was supposed to contain everyone while they hurtle through space on the way to their final destination, a trip that will take somewhere around 500 Earth years, because science and physics are real, kids. The ship, once it reaches the colony, can be divided into multiple staging units. Medical, there is a brig or a holding bay. There is also the canteen can split off separately, so this whole thing is modular, and it contains itself all within this one vastly massive ship. The trip should be without incident, as it's designed to. It's the early stages of jump technology, or faster than light travel. And so while we can travel a lot faster than what we can in current times, it's still going to take some time to get there. AI is not yet a thing. However, there are some basic functionalities that do work towards a kind of a simple AI, a computer that can do calculations and computations faster than anything these days. We like to call this Tech Level 9. And this is where we find our people, asleep on the Praetor, hurtling through the void when there is the blaring sounds of klaxons. Brah, 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 brah. Captain, you are the first one to wake. Well, the captain would be the first one to wake, but something's wrong. I would like for our Marine to open their eyes. The first thing you notice is that you are still stuck within your sleeping chamber. The sound of waves washing on the beach rush to your ears, and you hear the gulls crying in the sky above you. But there's one gull that seems to be persistent, almost swinging down at you. And you realize that instead of the cry of a gull, it's replaced by the blaring sound of an emergency alarm. There's a soft pop and psss of air as the sleep chamber door opens. You step out groggily, kind of looking around, and you see the captain's pod, who should have been the first one awake, isn't. Medical officer. You hear the soft sounds of a park, wind rustling through. It's a rhythmic sound. And then somewhere in the distance, you hear an emergency vehicle going off. It's getting closer and closer, closer. When finally you realize that it's not an emergency vehicle at all, but it's a klaxon sound. There's a soft and your pod opens. All right, medical officer. You open your eyes to see the pod across from you opening up at the same time. You both kind of stare at each other. There's more pops and the hiss of sound as the sleep chambers open. Ensign. There's nothing but darkness, and that's all you know. But yet, this peaceful existence within this void is suddenly assailed and suddenly just disturbed greatly by the sounds. Bah! 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 The soft pop of air and canopy in your sleeping chamber open. Go ahead and come to, Ensign.
5 more minutes.
As the ensign steps forward, kind of blinking, rubbing his eyes, you see the medical officer and the Marine have awoken. Computations trace through the head of our engineer, our science officer, because there's always respite to be found with computations out there. Here you endless fluid of numbers, but undaunting to you. It's a warm blanket, a comfort. Except for that one number is persistently wrong, and you know it's wrong. And it nags at you. You start to yell, and you realize that it's not sound, just permeating the thought in the void that you have with all of these numbers around you. This persistent brap, brap, brap. You awaken to the soft pop and hiss. As the canopy slides open, our science officer comes to. There's a soft doom, doom, doom from inside one of the other pods as the 4 of you stand there looking. The captain's pod is still dark. Again, as it's more urgent. Navigator, there's a sound. You've heard the klaxon. You've awoken. The door won't open. You're pounding on it with all you can. You've heard the pop in of air releasing you. The light inside of the pod is on, and you can all see inside of the pod our navigator. Go ahead and reveal yourself. The pod door is locked. It's jammed shut. The supply in there has been released. It's not supposed to be used. It's empty. It doesn't actually supply any fresh air as they do whenever they're in the sleeping state. You know you have only moments before the oxygen within that pod is going to run out. Think quickly. Who is going to act first? Marine, what are you doing?
Unmuting your microphone first.
The Marine is...
that would certainly help.
The Marine is so intense. I'm trying to free the...
Tana grabs the side of the pod and really digs his fingernails into the crease, or I don't know if there's kind of a crease or something that he can kind of sort of get his fingers in.
Try to pry it open.
And just as
okay.
Hard as he possibly can.
All right, on your on your sheet there is an athletics roll.
Excellent.
Wood, please click on athletics. It will ask you to add a modifier. Just hit nothing for the modifier and hit roll.
All right.
Perfect. Wow, that's excellent. That's like the top marks. That was basically you hitting as best you can. You watch as the Marine grabs any perch in the side of the device, putting one foot against there, wrenching it open. The door flies open. The hinges broke. It opens up. Navigator, you take a deep breath of air. The klaxon is still going off, and the captain's pod is still dark. What are you doing?
I'll step over and examine the pod.
All right. The life support and the chemicals used to induce the deep sleep are still appear to be there. Doesn't seem to be any warnings or lights on the thing.
It just hasn't been triggered for me to wake up.
It just hasn't been triggered, which is odd because the protocol for this, as all of you are aware, because you've all been made aware of the protocols, is that the captain should be the first one awakened.
Is there a way to manually turn on the wake-up protocol?
You're not sure. That's a little bit outside. It's a good idea, but you might want to ask a person who probably know better.
I assume we're all familiar with each other before we...
You are. You're not intimately familiar with one another. You've had some time alone on the ship with just you as the primary crew to kind of get to know each other. So, like, you would know names. You would know their roles, but that's pretty much all you would know about each other.
And then I gesture to the engineer. Can you get the captain awake?
Let me see here. So is there a pad or something?
There is. There is on there. There is a light up display. It has basically the readouts for it. The captain's name is sitting in there, and you can see all of the data, and everything is normal. Medical officer takes a look at it. You can see that everything, all of the heart rate, everything is well within the norms for someone in the sleep pod.
All right. I'm gonna try and can I open the pod from there, or just do it if I can. Try it.
You can probably give me on your sheet. Under your skills, there is one that says electronics. I'd like for you to click on the electronics skill. It will ask you if you want to add a modifier. Just set that for nothing, and then click on the roll. Beautiful. Well over the roll, yeah, you can see that there's a way to actually, knowing these devices, you actually pop the front panel off of that little display, ruining the medical officer's chances of keeping a monitor on that. But you quickly, using the only thing that you have or can grab, which was a small, just a piece of extra wire using a piece of the broken display screen, you reach in, you readjust one of the wires. There's the familiar, from the outside, it's a and then there's a cloud of kind of a vaporous cloud of whitish smoke that pours out of the bottom of the pod. The door opens easily, and the captain is asleep within.
While I attend to him, I think perhaps the rest of you should try and figure out why we were woken up to begin with.
All right. So medical officer suggests trying to figure out, because again, the persistent noise and the orange strobes from this emergency light is just bearing down on you.
And somebody get that off.
All right. You taking a look at the captain. There's a medic ability on your skill sheet. Go ahead. It looks as though they just haven't woken up from the deep sleep yet. Everything else, though, pulse is normal. What you saw before it was ripped off, O2 levels and everything else were normal. All right, who's doing what? You have a klaxon sounding overhead. You have a captain who's awake. Nobody knows why the alarm went off. Everything.
All right, I'm gonna look for like a bigger, not just for individual pods, but an actual readout just to for the ship to.
Okay. Sure. So the crew pods were kept separate from the colony pod. They were towards the front of the ship, near the helm, and near the bridge. It's a short jaunt for you to get there. It would probably take about 5 minutes because it's a big fucking ship. What do you do?
It's a big fucking.
And as you march along, the klaxon sounding, and now that you're outside, you hear something else. A voice. Adjustments need to be made. The ship is off course. Adjustments need to be made. The ship is off course.
Well, ain't that just a kick in the pants?
Adjustments need to be made. The ship is off course.
I'm gonna need to go check the map right quick.
All right. So you're heading with the with Nain. Is it Nain? Is that the Nain? You're heading with Nain to the bridge.
Yes.
All right. Ensign Skippy, what are you doing?
I'll head to the bridge with them.
All right. You've been tasked with one job, Marine. What are you doing?
What? What's that? Oh, what? The job was just to protect everybody, right?
Pretty much.
Bang up job so far.
Turn the alarm off.
Fantastic. You folks go ahead and get that. I'll get the captain. Okay. You're checking up on the captain, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, in that case, I'm going to stick around with you, and I'm just anything you need, just let me know.
Okay, well, he just seems
gonna be all right?
Captain will be fine. He just seems to not want to wake up. We will...
Well, that's his problem, not ours.
I'm going to give him a bit. Sometimes people are a little bit iffy about coming out of cryosleep. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others to wear off. It's not an instantaneous thing. Everybody has a different reaction. However, what we are going to need to do for now is I need to check to make sure that those who are awake, I'm going to start with you, make sure that those who are awake aren't suffering any sort of cryo sickness.
All right.
Well, I feel just fine, Doc.
You usually do.
All right, go ahead and give me a medical roll for that, and I assume that you are not going to. You know, it's from everything that you can see, just by giving the check, he's not really moving. He's kind of just not really resisting. But yeah, he seems perfectly fine. No ill effects just by giving them a physical look over without actually hooking them to anything that you could test them with. That would be in the medical bay.
Okay, next up, I want to go grab a few things from the medical bay. Small flashlight, basic supplies. Just supply myself, and then we'll head to the bridge with the rest after we come back and check on the captain after that.
Okay. Medical bay.
Why don't I just carry the captain? Because I can do that.
Leave him where he is. It's disorienting when you wake up where you didn't go to sleep.
I don't know. I'd love to wake up in a gorgeous man's arms. I mean, that's just me, but...
You're not wrong. I'm not going to disagree with you. However, it is very disorienting to not wake up in the spot where you went to sleep.
All right. From where you are
I won't argue with you, Doc.
From where you're at in your chambers, as you exit the pod, the bridge and the helm would be to your right. Medical bay is going to be to your left. It's probably maybe 50 feet from where you guys are at. The medical bay itself, as you run into there, is a large establishment with several bays, several offices set up. Again, this was one of the modules that should be able to separate and be set down. So you take a few moments to equip yourself with what you need, mobile check units and things like that. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew, you have run to the helm, to the bridge. Looking out at the display screen, you see the vastness of space, stars here and there. There doesn't seem to be any celestial bodies nearby, such as planets or anything else like that, moons or what have you. But just from looking out the window, that's what you can see or not see. Navigation screens are up, and it shows the astrogation charts that you had set up originally, plotting the point. And it shows a dotted line that is no longer falling on there. The azimuth that it was originally on is off by about 15 degrees from its original. So, like, if it's a line like this, it started at a 15 degree and it's grown greater. So by the point where it shows the ship to your original line, there is probably, I would say, maybe 75 travel in direction. You are off course by about 75 years.
I'm going to go over and investigate how long we've been off course.
Mm-hmm. Sure. At this speed, you can do the calculation quickly. It's just a simple Pythagorean theorem, knowing how fast you're going. You've actually been off course for about, believe it or not, maybe 5 years. It looks like that whatever incident it was that put you off course happened about 5 years ago. And it's now gotten to where you're traveling fast enough that 5 years has equated to 75 years off from where you are. Ensign, what are you doing?
Man, do you share that with us?
Do you share this information with the rest of them?
Yes.
Shouldn't the alarms have gone off like 4 or 5 years ago then?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm going to go over and check if check on the computers if any other pods other than us have awoken at any point.
Okay. I'm going to hit a console and just check the logs, try to find out what happened, why the alarm didn't go off.
Sure. All right. So you're checking the logs, and you are basically checking to see if any other pods were opened in that time frame. Is that right? Okay. And what is our navigator doing?
I'd like to go over and see if I can fix our path.
Try to change it. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to actually be the easiest one. Sitting down in front of the nav computer, plot out your course. You're going to use astrogation. So on your skill chart or on your skill list, there's one that says astrogation. This is the plotting of points in space to traverse them.
You want me to leave the modifier 0?
Yeah, leave the modifier at 0. Perfect. Yeah, actually, because you're the one that meticulously went over, can easily correct it. Looking at the time to travel, though, tells you that to correct the course at this point in time, it's going to take you, if that is all it does is correct the course, as opposed to like try to, you know what I'm saying?
Bring us around.
Your baseline, if it just goes straight here and then goes that way, it'll take you maybe 5 years to get back to your originating point. However, if you try to hit the curve and go back along so that you can continue progressing forward, it's actually going to take you quite a bit longer, about 30 years.
Ooh.
But you will be further along than what you would be if you just took the time to travel there. Big ship going really fast.
What do we have enough resources to last another 30 years for the people? How long are these cryostations?
That would be a good question to ask if you were in that room.
Yeah. Whoops.
We're headed there, so I'm sure once we get the update we can ask. But for now, we're collecting things in the med bay.
Not smart enough for that.
That's okay, because you have the medical officer who would know that knowledge.
All right.
Would know that.
Who would know that knowledge. There you go. That's the quote of the night. All right. For checking the logs, it's really simple. You scroll through, taking a look at the manifest for the colony pods first. Yeah, actually, on your character sheet, you should be able to just click on the word intelligence or intellect, and it should allow you to roll it based off of just a straight intellect. If it doesn't, let me know, and I will adjust myself.
Well, it lights up when I pass over it. When I click on it, nothing happens.
Oh, it should. Okay, that's interesting. It should prop up to ask you if you have a modifier you'd like to use. And then you would hit.
Oh, wait, my sheet was covering it up when that came
Yeah.
Right.
For anybody checking logs, so that would be Nain as well. You guys want to, and I may have just not scrolled down. Yeah. Go ahead and have Nain do the same thing, intellect. Perfect, yeah. Okay, so SO Nain, the first thing that you notice is that all of the pods, none of them have been opened. However, doing a check on them, there's something strange.
Go on.
There should have been not quite 1,000 equal number, but there was around like 1,037 pods, not counting the crews. There are only accounting like 995.
So so from the outset there should have been 1137. I think you said.
Yeah, 1,000. No, 1,000.
So how many?
That is going to be about. Sorry, it's really dark in here. 42. That was completely unplanned.
Sure.
Was it? There are 42 pods that are. It's not that they were opened, not that they're not responding. Maybe it's that they're not responding. They're all hooked into the computer, and so they should all be feeding data back and forth to it. But 42 pods have gone mysteriously dark. They weren't there at all. Skippy, what were you checking? You were checking the logs, like the star logs, right? For any activity. Okay. You looking back, starting back with the incident where everything was worse. You see, and again, you can see that at the time that the incident occurred, it says unknown object, connect, airbay, or ALB7, airlock bay 7. It just says object connect ALB7. You
Everybody
know
else
that
in the room just hears, oh shit.
The ensign who has been quietly poring over the logs while you've been looking at the pods and you've been correcting the astrogation chart. Just in the quiet of the room with the klaxon, like almost between the blare, goes, oh shit.
Is there something you'd like to share?
Is there a main viewer I could put this on?
Yeah, you can throw it up onto the main HUD.
I throw it up on the main viewer and show everybody what it said.
Where once you saw the stars and just the expanse of space, there's now an event log for the ship that the computer that records. A lot of it is just mundanity, checking the levels and seeing where all the resources were at. But then it says on there, about the time that the incident occurred, unknown object, interface, ALB. That means that something triggered the pressure plates on the outside that shows the interconnect and the mag locks on the outside of the ship, or something along those lines, and opened or interfaced with airlock bay 7.
Does the ship have security cameras we can look at?
Oddly enough, it does.
I want to start checking those.
All right, Marine and medical officer. you have gathered your supplies, and again, like I said, you basically have like a small mobile med bag. It allows you to do dermoplast, which will basically replace any kind of it'll treat burns or minor contusions on skin and things like that. You've got several other medical supplies in there for doing like just real quick checkups on people. The flashlight, that you can look, a couple of tongue depressors and sterile wrapping, and you open the door to the bridge, and you see them looking at this large display, and you see on there highlighted unknown object interface. The alarms, by the way, just to make sure that I emphasize that, are still going off.
Well, that doesn't look nice.
Ensign, please. The alarms. We're awake. Turn them off.
Oh, right.
All right, you go over to the emergency alarm, enter in the override code, and disable the alarm. Yes, there are cameras.
Okay. That's better. Now, what is all of this?
Something docked with us.
Excuse me?
Point out the relevant information on the screen. 5 years ago.
So, something's... Why were we not woken up 5 years ago?
Working on it.
Okay.
We said 5 more minutes. They gave us 5 more years.
It was probably my fault then.
Okay, what about the colonies? The colonists. What do we have there? How are their pods? I don't
All the
like
ones we
that
have
look.
are good.
I don't like. What do you mean the ones we have?
So there should be 1,037, and we're getting great information out of 995 of them.
That's not 1,037.
No.
That number is decidedly smaller by just a little bit.
Okay. So we're missing almost 50 people.
What? They're not missing. Well, I mean, they're missing.
Okay, is there?
But we don't know they're not here.
Is there a possibility that there is just a wire malfunction somewhere and we're not getting the readings here?
Yes.
Okay. That can be fixed. We should go check on that. But how far off course are we?
5 years?
At this point, at the rate of speed that you're going, if you continue on the trajectory, you will end up being hopelessly lost. But your corrections will give you one of two choices. Continuing forward at the speed that you're going, you could adjust it in 30, or you can pull a full stop, realign the ship, and correct it in 5. However, the stopping the ship, the realigning, things like that, would probably cost you another 15 years or so, because there's no friction. So it's not like just slamming on the brakes. You've got to give it time to get to that point where the thrusters can override the actual thrust from the engine. Not to mention, and this is the science officer's, this is his thing. This uses a solar sail, not cell, C-E-L-L, but S-A-I-L, to propel the ion thrusters on. So basically, it captures solar energy from all of the stars nearby and provides those to the thrusters, depending on how much it's gotten or how many stars it's gone by, and with you programming the astrogation to collect so much energy. Yeah, this bitch is going quick.
Okay.
Drift it.
So
she's a moving.
okay, so medical officer question to the DM. Do we have enough power and or cryostasis requirements to add that much time? Because that's information I would know, and I have no idea.
You can take a look at the logs and real quickly assess the situation.
Sure, then I'm going to pull up the medical logs and see where we're at with that.
Knowing that there should never have been an incident, but not being built by the lowest bidder in this particular case, there is a supply enough for an additional 50 years travel for the full crew and populace of 1,007.
Okay. Navigator, what's our options?
Well, we can stop the ship and go back the way we came, reconnect, or we could take extra time and just continue on course and realign that way.
How long will those take us?
One will take 5 years. One will take, what was it, an extra 75 years?
No, to stop, turn, and get back will take you a total of 20 years.
20, okay.
Yeah, to continue the forward progression, which would maintain your... Okay, it would take you 30 years to get back on your path, but you're not cutting your trip time overall down. So there's a benefit to one or the other, depending on how you want to go about it. If you right the trajectory by just adjusting it slightly onto course, it'll take you 30 years to get back to your original transport, but you'll be how many ever years back on course. But if you take the time to stop and turn, it's a lot shorter for you to get back to your original track, but you've also lost that span of time that you saved by just arcing it.
Because we have to spend so much time slowing down and then speeding back up.
Exactly. So that's really, so there's a trade-off depending on how you want to do it. And again, those resources will be used. That takes into account the consumption of the speed up and the slow down. It's an extra 50 years of survival time is what I was saying.
Why did we choose the path we're on? If we just keep going and just slowly, there are hazards that we're worried about?
You mean in regards to the path that... Yeah. Because of the way that the engines work, you have the navigator along with the whole navigational office for the naval exploration, expansion... Yeah, naval exploration, expansion, colonization endeavor. I can't remember. I think that's what I had. I got to go look it up again in a minute. They plotted this out to gather the most as far as solar power to recharge those cells and to avoid large objects. Because you're going at such a rate of speed that trying to circumvent a planet... You want to have, a good 70 years on you. You try to just turn this bitch on a dime. It's like driving your grandmother's 1978 Lincoln Town Car. And the power steering is out. And you're going at Mach Jesus.
Okay, so...
But she still has the knob on the wheel, so you can kind of get that good you're going.
Very specific example.
Okay, with the captain still out of commission, we're waiting for him to wake up. Waiting for them to wake up. Ensign, it's your call. We need a decision.
Let's take the route where we slowly zip back in so we're not losing quite as much time on the overall trip.
Well, it shouldn't, if we're going to catch back up with our original trajectory, it shouldn't actually eat into our 50 years extra supply. Because we're still technically traveling forward.
Yeah, let's go with that route.
Okay. Now, I need to go find out why 42 of the pods are missing.
Have I managed to pull up the video from the incident?
Yes. Are you looking specifically for Airlock Bay 7?
Mm-hmm.
All right. You do. You watch as there's the lights go on that indicate that the bay is being voided. And then you see the lights stop. And then you see the lights kick on for the pressurization again. You see the doors open, and you see a foot, and then the video just cuts out. Out for maybe 40... Looking at the timestamp on it, you've lost about 45 minutes worth of video footage in there. And then when it starts up again, you see the bays closing. The lights go on for the depressurization. And then they stop. And then you see the lights go on for the pressurization and they're open. Like somebody went in, closed the door, and then listened out.
Anything notable about the foot?
Not from the video. It wasn't like they were wearing a nice Gucci shoe or.
Okay.
Were they wearing a shoe?
Yes. It looked like a boot from what you could tell. That's a good question. Valid question.
I checked any
Like a
other
boot.
cameras in the area.
They are, but they don't have an angle like the one that's actually sitting in the bay does.
Are the colonist pods under observation?
Yes. Yes, they are.
I start pulling those up.
Right. As you pull this up, are you putting it up on the overhead? And
Yeah.
okay. Everybody watches as the screen flickers for a second, and a mostly color image shows the inside of the ship. It's beautiful ceramic and steel, and you see what looks like a long tube, a flat spot for you to walk on, and every once in a while you see these bubbles. These looks like, bubbles on the inside of this tube, and it stretches on, and as you're watching it flashes for a second to another screen that pans left and right. It's even further down that tube from what you can tell, and as you're watching it pan, in front of each one of the bubbles is a number, and it'll have like A through Z, and then each one of them has a number up to a certain, like 328 or 330, so forth and so on. And it just continues that. What you realize you're looking at, colonists are held within this one particular unit that stands up when it's done. The center part of it is just a flat gangplank. Since your gravity is still enabled, by the way, you can actually see the tube that they're in. They're all kind of locked inside these tube in these pods that are similar to yours, and it gives it this very kind of it's a very reminiscent of 2001, where everything is overly white and shiny.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little creepy, but everybody seems to be in the same status. You can see the little monitors on the front. Unlike yours were more utilitarian. It was pod monitor. These are more stylized. Pods almost meld into the floor. See the seam that opens up, and they slide out and then open so the person can kind of slide out. You can see how the monitor is actually on the bubble part. Unfortunately, with just the camera view, you can't see any of the doors that appear to be open, nor do you actually see any of the monitors to tell if they are. I mean, you can catch a few of them, but not.
Do we know? So it's no pods are missing because they're actually melted into the floor.
Right.
Running back the cameras to the incident, do we see anybody walking along this gangplank?
That same timestamp of time seems to be missing out of the video feed.
can we check other feeds that have nothing to do with this area, completely different area, and check the same time zone?
Sure. So you ask the ensign to pull that up. You pull up just arbitrarily. You pull up the mess hall. Mess hall pans left and right, and at about that same time frame, same timestamp, there's a, and then it starts again, and it's that same 45 minutes is missing.
So we lost 4 cameras for a good chunk of time.
I'm betting it was probably all the cameras. Is there any way to check to see if our system was hacked some kind of way? I don't know if I have that level of skill.
Somebody on there might know. Using again. Using your electronic skill, Nain can try to determine if it was hacked.
Okay.
So if it was, the fingerprints that are normally left behind by somebody who does something like this either was very good, or they literally physically found the drive, took it out, erased 45 seconds of the video, 45 minutes of the video feed, and then put it back in. Because you can't really tell if it's been tampered with. It literally looks like 45 minutes of time is just gone.
What about them electromagnetic impulses like in the old sci-fi movies? Did we consider that? Is that even a thing? I can't hear shit.
It's okay, because nobody's talking. We're
Nobody's
waiting
talking.
for we're waiting for the engineering officer to give us the answer.
What? I'm not sure what you're asking necessarily. Like, are we just checking for if there was pulses in the area?
Listen, I'm not a scientist. I'm just saying I used to watch the same sci-fi movies as everybody else when I was a kid. They would have them fancy electromagnetic what's-a-doos that would always
You don't know how it works. You just asked me what, like, you want me to check if something happened or not.
All right, then
It's
take
like
a look.
electromagnetics. I'm not sure what you want me to check.
Like an EMP
Listen.
pulse?
Yeah, like that. No idea what that is technically. I just know it was in all the old movies.
Is there any tech that could potentially have jammed our cameras while they came on board?
Potentially? Sure.
Check.
Are we sure we saw somebody enter and it wasn't just perhaps a
A
solar
spacesuit
flare?
just flowing in the wind?
Fucking solar flare for 45 minutes.
Look, I don't know.
I
Okay?
fucking love it.
Solar flares can do that?
I'll check.
All right.
I
So,
thought they were just hot.
specifically, what are you wanting to check?
If there were any space phenomena out of the ordinary around that there's evidence of happening to our ship.
Give me a science roll, and yeah, just do science, no modifier change, but yeah.
Maybe they got one of them newfangled guns where they pointed at the cameras and they're like, pew! And there goes all the cameras! No more cameras!
All right.
Cameras were there after, though.
Not everything is like the movies.
You sit down, you bring up the logs, the change logs, you bring up anything that you can think of, and as you sit there and stare at it going, in the back of your head you go, what the fuck am I looking for? I don't even know. Science, space phenomena, this is garbage.
All right, let's
literally went.
A more scientific way than Star Trek, unfortunately. All right, Marine, come
Yeah?
with me. We're gonna go down there and bring something that
All right.
shoots as good as you want, but we're gonna go down there, see what's going on with our own eyes.
Okay,
Sounds
before
good to
you
me.
go, Nain, I would like to check you, make sure there's no issues from cryostasis.
All right, I'm gonna give her my usual joke about my arm being stiff.
Yeah. as you go to do the cuff to take his blood pressure, you realize he hands you the metal one. and then switches over.
She's gonna put it on a little bit tighter than she should.
And this is
in
about the
response.
time that all of you look and notice that the science. Is it your right or your left?
Left.
His left arm is made out of like carbon fiber and something else. It's articulated like a real hand and it moves and everything else like that. But it's made out of, material as opposed to being an actual human.
Well,
All jokes aside,
Hey, that's a hell of a thing, ain't it?
all jokes aside, how is the connection site? No pain.
We're feeling good.
Okay, let me know the moment that changes.
And I
Because
hadn't
we
discussed
do
this, but
not-
how far? I'm sorry.
We do not want to risk an infection, especially not out here.
I was to say about like there's like a little bit of a nub
Pop
from the
bomb.
elbow.
Yeah.
oh, it's like that old show about the little boy with the metal arm and the big man with the metal. It's like that. Why'd you lose the arm?
You need to take notes on the shows that you're watching.
Yeah, I suppose I do.
I think I need Cole's notes for the shows that he watches.
Oh, that's great.
But everything
You just
seems
asked
to be
the
fine.
science officer if he was involved in Full Metal Alchemist. He's like, "Would you do equivalent exchange? Louisiana?"
Is your brother stuck in a suit of armor?
Yeah, that one.
Everything seems to be alright. Please let me know the moment that you experience any pain with the connection site so we can handle it immediately.
All right.
Pretty lady with the spider fingers. Anyways,
Go
So-
grab
we
your big
headed
gun.
down to my big gun. Cap, do I have any guns, or is it just these guns?
Walk into that.
Why would
You
you,
really
need other
did.
guns at that point?
You have your own personal cabin, and going
Alright.
there first. It's along the way toward the Colonist Bay. You stop by there and take a look and see, and you do have a pistol.
All right.
Yep. It is a non-solid projectile pistol, means that it fires concentrated beam of energy, which is basically a fancy way of saying pistol. Congratulations, you have a laser.
Yeah.
The last thing you want bouncing
Hey,
around is
can I just say?
is a
Yeah,
damn projectile.
I just
the
want to
last thing we
say.
need to do is arm Atlas.
Pew, 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 pew. Okay, really quick, I just want to say my cabin is completely empty except for a hang in there kitty poster that I put up. Just a note over the cat's face with a little angry face.
The cat's face has an angle. You've like drawn over it with
Yeah, like a little
so the
like
motivational poster of the cat holding on to the limb that says
yep,
there,
hang in there.
scratched and scrawled out with a kitty face on it. You just
Yep.
kind of arch your eyebrow. This Marine is odd. Who might I add? Everybody, with the exception of the Marine, is part of the Navy. Because it is the Navy that deals with the space exploration.
Not Space Force? I'm just saying.
Both of them. No, it is not Space Force. It's going to be huge. So you grab the only weapon that without checking the actual armory, and that is you have a pistol.
Fantastic.
And with that, the science officer and the Marine are making their way toward the colony pods. Correct?
Are you guys headed for the colony pods?
Yeah. The one's
Okay.
closest to B7? B37? Whatever.
Oh,
the airlock.
Airlock Bay 7?
That's the one. We're going to start there first.
Can we pull up we can pull up a list of the ones that are actually missing, right?
Yes, you can.
Yes. That's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up a list and print it off so that I can take it with me down to check on the pods myself.
Okay, so then we have the three of you going. You've printed off the list. By the time it took them to fish out the pistol, you catch up to them easily. Again, keeping the crew cabins closer to the bridge. As you start to leave the area, basically the fore of the ship, you come across it's the design. You didn't really think of it. Remember that I said this is modular, right? The whole thing is modular. Mm-hmm. You pass by the seam that would separate the crew from the actual, remainder of the ship and the other modules. That would consist of the crew cabins, the brig, medical bay, and of course the bridge itself. You make your way down and you forgot just how long it takes to get through this big ship. You arrive at the crew lift that will take you down to the next layer, and then along the gangplanks, you find yourselves outside of bays. And what it is there are a total of 8 bays, and the way that they work is there's 1, 2. They're like at a star pattern, and then one on the top and one on the bottom. The one on top and the one on bottom, where you're standing, you're looking down. Bottom is number 7, so it's actually like below you. As you step in to this chamber, and it's a large barrel chamber, and you've got all of these bays off of it in pretty much every direction from you. You look down at bay number 7, and it looks normal. It doesn't seem to be any scrapes or scratches. The door is closed. The depressurization lights are on. There's no life support being flooded into that room because it's a non-necessary function. So, and ahead of you lies the remainder of the corridor and the hallway in pretty much the one of the major colony pods. So it is, the colony pods are separated into 4 long tubes. Each one of the tubes has those bubbles, and what you were looking at camera, looking at, all of the different pods at different points down the tubes. So there's 4 large tubes that you can enter into, and standing, the hallway kind of splits off left and right, and then you see that there are stairs or a ladder that goes up to the 2. So you have door here, door here, door here, ladder up, door here, door, and you're standing in a hallway just kind of looking at those. So tube 1, 2, 3, or 4, and it goes literally right to left, 1, 2, 3. Which tube would you like to start with?
We're going to start with 3.
Okay. Starting with tube number 3. Go over and you climb the ladder. The door has a slight recess where you can stand in front of it, and then it opens inward. So you stand at the top of the ladder, push the door in, and it gives off a psst. And you wait for a few seconds, and then the light turns green on the right side of the door, and you can actually continue and push the door open. You step into the tube, and the not fresh smell, but the stale smell of life support being freshly pumped into the room assails your nose. Other than that, it's pristine and clean.
Wait. That's a normal smell to be smelling?
I mean, yeah, it's just like this room. So, because the pods are self-sustaining, again, to conserve on resources, any room that is non-functional or non-necessary has two things taken out of it. The individual gravity for the ship when everybody is in sleep pods is gone. So in the sleep pods, there is no up or down, left or right. There's no gravity. And then the life support is flooded out of an area. Like the airlocks, they don't have oxygen.
Bay.
What's that?
The medical bay.
Not the med bay, unless there's nobody in there. But the airlocks do not have life support in there, and neither did these until somebody opens the door or the pods are opened. And those are the only things that would flood life support back into the room or back into the tube. So the reason that it smells stale is empty in here. It's vented in really quickly. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not off-putting. Or it shouldn't be. All right. Looking to the tubes, you have the sheet in front of you. Which pods, I should say, are empty. At least the medical officer does, I should say.
So you cut out for me a bit there.
That's okay. I said you are standing inside of the way, the circular chamber with the pods spread out through there. The medical officer has a list of the pods that are not online.
Okay. Take a gander at that and start going through checking pods to see in them, see if there is something or not.
Sure. Out of tube number 3, there are a total of 10 that were not reporting back data. Going to the first one, you can see that it is A310, A310. You get the idea that you're not sure about the lettering part of it, but you do know that the 3 marks it as tube number 3 and 10 as pod number 10. That's the 10th one in. Taking a look at there, the pod is dark, as you would expect it to be, because there's no light within the pod whenever it's there. The readout display, though, is blank. It is cold and dead. It looks like it has not had any data readout on it in some time.
That's somewhat similar to how we, wasn't it?
Well, the captain's readout was fine. It just the captain didn't wake up.
No, if you take a look at the one next to it here, A309, this one is perfectly fine. It has all of the readout. We can see that this person is still slumbering away. Well, oh my. If you wish to know what that is, you can read it. I'm not saying it out loud. They are slumbering away. They're still asleep. This one is completely dark. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is dead. It may just mean that we are not getting a reading. There could be a faulty wire. Something could have happened. We did lose complete feed for 45 minutes.
Well, then it's worth prying open, isn't it?
Don't pry open the cryopod. Let's pry open. Do not pry open the cryopod.
It's like that fellow, what's his name? Schrödinger. We don't know if it's dead or alive until we open the pod, right? So why not open the pod?
You just Schrödinger cat. Goddamn colonists.
Colonists are not cats.
The colonist is dead until proven otherwise. You don't know.
Okay,
Doesn't even exist.
Can you open the panel and see if we can't find out if there's just a malfunction before we start waking people up out of cryosleep?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Okay. You did not bring any tools with you, so. You were sleeping in your PJs to the point where I could say that everybody currently is dressed in like shorts and a gray shirt. And that's pretty much it, with like the Naval Exploratory Expansion Colonization logo on there. That's pretty much what everybody's wearing. No names, nothing. Just pretty much running around your skivvies.
All right, so can I, without opening panels, like investigate further?
Not really. I mean, the way that these are designed, think about like an iPod or something like, or not an iPod, but an iPad, where the bezel, you'd have to have some way to kind of scrape the glue around the adhesive, then take the panel off and things like that. And currently, what you have for utensils is the laser, the pistol,
and whatever's in my medical kit,
and whatever's in your bag. You're correct. There is things there.
So there's the readout that's showing blank.
Right.
Could I restart that, I guess?
Give me an electronics check. Yeah, you're not as familiar with this one as you are with other display units, but this is kind of a similar pattern used for one of the data pads that you've seen. Taking a few seconds, you remember that if you think it's this one, and this one, like 7 seconds, that should reboot the data pad. So you hold your fingers in there for a second, and sure enough, there's a slight. You see the logo for the manufacturer of the data pad and the pod on there. It runs through a boot up sequence. As it finishes, it comes online, and the data pad just blinks for a second and then goes dark.
Can you get in otherwise then?
Yeah. Go get your tools. I'm going to check on everybody else that is still asleep and make sure everything's fine.
Contain no opening.
Take that one with you. Saves me from having to worry about it.
I'll behave.
I love how the Marine isn't to be trusted, I guess.
Not with science.
The Marine just tried to get us to Schrodinger's cat somebody in cryo sleep.
So, just out of the game for a second, one of my favorite scenes ever was from Batman in the animated series. They were all talking about how they nearly got Batman. And the Killer Croc the whole time is trying to tell his story. Finally, they grandiose schemes, and they nearly got the Batman. And the Croc's like, I nearly got him. I hit him with a rock. And that was like it. The Marine is the Killer Croc in this whole entire situation.
That's
like, we should try to reboot the data pad. Now let's try to make sure we check on everything. What if we just smash it open?
Oh, wait. Also, wait, so how many of us came down to the cryopods?
All right. Hang on just 1 second. Captain.
Oh, God.
Cover your camera for just a moment, please. Those that came down to the colony pods are the Marine, medical officer, and you. As far as I know, just you three. The ensign and the navigational officer are still back at the bridge.
Okay. I just realized I may have just left the captain unconscious. So okay, we're good.
The captain is unconscious in his in their cryopod. With the cryopod open, we left them there because it was my medical determination that it would be too disorienting to wake up somewhere you didn't fall asleep.
I probably closed the cryopod.
How do I carry him?
No.
How do I turn off the speaker?
I'm
getting like.
Go to your settings.
Yeah.
And then under your settings, go down to I want to broadcast and I want to receive. Set those to video only.
Okay.
Like down towards the bottom.
This
While you're at it, go ahead and adjust your display name.
Oh, yes.
To show.
What's our dear beloved captain's actual name? We'd love to find out.
That's a beautiful name.
Oh, yeah. Skippy.
Captain.
Yes.
You're standing on the edge of a pier. You are looking out over the ocean. The waters on it, a bit of the blue has faded. but it's still a sight to behold here on Earth. You see the gulls flying. You hear children laughing. There's a gentle, rhythmic kind of just motion about the entire world. You're having a good time. The sea breeze is fresh in your air, fresh in your nose. It's cool against your skin. Light is starting to set. The sun's starting to set, and it's making that one fringe against the horizon of the ocean. You hear the sound of someone yelling, but it's not a name. It's just they're making a noise, like praying of some sort. It goes on for several minutes, and you return to find yourself back into this one world where, oh my gosh, cotton candy. Oh yeah, it's been so long. And Santa Monica is beautiful. Forgotten how nice it is to just get out that direction. And something's troubling you in the back of your head. You kind of look around, and something's off. Everything seems to be washed in kind of gray color. And then you go, wait, I've never actually been to Santa Monica. We've seen the pictures. And you kind of start to look around. The world spins dizzily and blink a few times, and you can go ahead and uncover your camera now.
You are definitely cutting in and out, so I might have to
Sorry
drop
about that.
call for a sec. Just a sec.
It's me. It's not you. It's me.
Come on. Okay.
It's not you. It's me.
It's not you.
Okay. I just want to be here for you guys.
You look around the chamber where the crew, their sleep pods for the crew should have been. 4 of them are open, including yours, and one of them appears to have the door broken on it, laying open wide, as opposed to being sitting open. It should be. None of the crew are there.
Okay. How's the rest of the area looking?
This is a small room that has several hooks on it, and there are uniforms or outfits hanging on those hooks. They are each one designed with a different insignia or logo, with the exception of one of them, which is kind of a mottled gray and black and blue, like an urban camo fatigue. Clearly designed for someone of pretty good stature. But you do find your uniform, the gray uniform with the yellow insignia around the jacket cuff, as well as the lapels that have the slide-ons for the yellow mark. And of course, on the chest piece, as you slide the jacket on, you can see Captain, and then
okay.
the rest of the uniforms are still hanging.
Okay. And everything else looks.
Everything else doesn't seem to be amiss. There's light. The gravity is on. So
Okay.
the ship isn't in traversal mode, or at least it's in there and there's life support, not suffocating.
Good. I can breathe.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's always good.
That's
Which
good.
means that the ship is ready for activity, human
Okay.
life to be aboard it. But yeah, everybody sees that the door to the room is closed. As you open it, you can look left towards the medical bay and the remainder of the ship.
Mhm.
To your right is the bridge. And the bridge is currently, the door to the bridge is currently closed. And there's
Okay.
nobody around.
I will make my way to the bridge then.
All right. You creep your way to the bridge, having, I assume, just run around in your skivvy, but I assumed you slipped your
I'm
uniform.
completely nude.
Oh, you just went full on,
I just-
on this shit.
Your captain has arrived.
I've got to be free.
Hello, everybody.
Now just strike the Captain Morgan pose.
Yes,
One foot
absolutely.
up.
Okay.
All right, so you donned your uniform.
Yeah, captains do that, don't they? Okay. I will dress to impress and make my way to the bridge.
All right. Ensign, navigator. The door to the bridge slides open with the very soft Star Trek. And
Of course.
turn around to look, expecting maybe one of the others, and the captain is walking in full uniform. And it's at that moment you realize, like in your sleep gear.
You're all looking a little sleepy.
It's a casual Friday.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've had a bit of a problem, Captain.
All right. What's the problem?
I start pulling up the relevant, information on screen.
All right.
5 years ago, someone docked with the ship. We have been off course since that time. We are missing something like 42 of our colonists. And the cameras throughout the ship have been blanked for 45 minutes as whoever it was coming on board.
We're missing colonists?
We are not getting reports from their pods.
They might not necessarily be missing.
They might just be dead.
They're
What
just
has all
no,
been
they're
missing?
The dock,
They're missing. We don't know that they're gone.
they're just
We're just not
dock and
getting
man is gone
readings.
down.
So we have how many people unaccounted for?
42.
42.
And it's about that time that the science offers. You arrive back at the bridge. Although your own cabin would have been where things like that. There's also the engineering room that you could also find tools. If you're looking for smaller devices to work with, your own personal tool set would probably be the best one to get. And it's got things like the small screwdrivers for undoing small things. There is a small splicing kit, which basically looks like a SATA adapter bridge with a bridge wire in there that does a crossover. That allows you to kind of like bridge two things together. There are several different tools that you would use specifically, your work.
Okay, but I just got to the bridge.
Yeah, but you arrived at the bridge. Let's say for the. Actually, you know what? Let's recount that. You probably would go to your room first, which would be from where you guys exited your sleep area. Would have been to the left, like where the Marine went into. So you enter into your cabin, gather your tools. Where would you like to go? Back to the pods that you were checking, or back to the colony pods?
Yeah.
All right. You gather your tools and you back toward the colony pods.
Also,
Round trip. It's going to
put on
take you.
pants and such.
Yeah, checking your room, you do find a uniform there with your insignia, and again, it has the. It was white. Yours are. You have white bands around the cuffs of the jacket, white slip-ons for the lapel. As part of the science and engineering team. So captain is yellow, science and engineering is white. Medical, just so we know, is green. Marine, you don't get anything.
Marine, you're just whatever.
Navigation.
I'm just Marine.
Navigation is blue.
Okay.
The ensign doesn't have any lapels. It's a lighter gray color. Which basically just means enlisted officer, but like your rank isn't.
You're doing great, sweetie. Okay.
Just what we always wanted to hear from the captain.
Yeah.
You're doing great, sweetie.
I'm so proud of you.
Holds up the data pad, which is clear. It's like, you're doing great, lady.
Do we have like communicators?
Yeah, that's a good
Um,
question.
Yeah, do we have those sweet communicators like they do
Not-
in Star Trek?
Unfortunately, you don't get to tap your jacket.
Oh, we
but
don't get to
there-
reboot? Come
I
on!
guess so.
Come on!
There are communication devices throughout the ship that will allow you to communicate with different parts of it.
Okay,
Um,
but no.
Yeah, no
So no.
personal communicators that are on you.
How
Okay.
did I not design those?
Get on it!
Ah,
Because
We've
you're
got
supposed to
other
be
things
asleep for like 500 years. That might be the
Yeah, they
primary.
didn't think they didn't want us to do
We don't even
Dreamed
get
about it.
walkie-talkies.
no walkie-talkies. Sorry,
This is
it's out of the
very
budget.
much-
I'm not saying that the technology isn't there. You just don't have any on you.
Sorry. Shucks. Okay,
Damn
so we have 42 people unaccounted for.
The ship is off course.
The ship is off course. Like how off course? How long have we been off course? What's going on?
For some reason, the computer did not
I
wake
think
up.
I chose great when I picked her as your
I
captain.
fucking hate you, Cap. Oh Jesus.
I'm just more amused that the captain's reactions are the exact same as the medical officer's reactions.
How fucked are we right now? Okay.
On a scale of eating people because we're trapped in a mountain, how fucked are we? I'm just asking.
We've already eaten the first person, Captain. Okay.
Actually, that one pod was ripped
42.
open.
Oh Jesus.
It was like a Kinder egg. We were getting at the toy inside.
No.
Just so I know. This is so lovely.
Actually,
I
we
can't.
should update Jack on who everybody's
Please.
playing.
All right.
Yes.
So, just so we know, our captain came in a little late.
I'm so sorry.
On the
Finally
screen,
woke up.
on the screen beside you is the Marine being played by Atlas. You are, of course, Captain.
Of course.
Plus,
Maddie is playing the medical officer. Jason is playing the ensign, simply because I couldn't not with the hat. It had to happen.
Mhm.
As soon as he said, "I'm buying the hat," it was like, yeah, that's the decision.
Game over.
Game over. The navigator is being played by V, excuse me.
Yep.
And then I'm going to butcher the name, but Nain is our science officer.
Okay.
I'll have it
Before the
overlaid
city,
ready for next week,
we're
by the
like-
way.
I was like, oh, I forgot to make a name. I'll make it.
I
That's
dig it.
lovely. Okay. So just so I know, not to detract from this lovely story that's not a shit show at all right now. How many what the fuck do they call them?
Colonists.
Colonists. I was like, how many colonizers do we have?
I thought you were going for
Make a mistake.
columns. I was like,
You scared me, colonizer.
Okay. How many colonists do we have total?
Originally, there were 1,037. The report from the ensign and from the medical officer, as they were pulling up things, the science officer, but the ensign is briefing you.
Yes.
And he tells you that there are currently 995 pods that are porting back. There's a discrepancy of 42.
Okay. So we don't have to worry about them.
The 995 or the 42?
The 995.
Okay.
They're reporting, then we have status on them, and they're probably okay. Well, I think the first thing we should do is go check to see where these 42 are.
Yeah, I think the doc
They're
is
not
down
reporting.
on that now.
Pardon?
The doc is down there checking on some of that now.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Oh God.
It's a
It's
good
too
10
early.
minutes. It's a good 10 minutes round trip, Maine, for you to get to your cabin, grab your tools, and then rush back to their pods. But you arrive back with enough tools to do to start looking into the one that was blacked out. So go ahead and give me an electronics check to see if you can try to reboot the pod or see if you can get it back online. This time I'd like you to add the modifier of 1 Actually, no, make it a 2 because you have your tools with you now.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Realizing that your cross-connect cable is not going to be as effective as you wish, and because it's still a limited amount of tools, you're actually kind of get the device to respond back, and you can actually now see the readout, which is basically the operating system's command line. You're actually interfacing with that. It's telling you that there's no resident. It responds back with no res, which you know to mean that there's no resident, which usually means that there's nothing for it to report back on. Again, the inside the glass is dark. You can't really see anything in there. But normally, like the other ones, you can hit the readout display and it will kind of light up and shine on the faces.
Do I have a flashlight or something like that? I can just...
Yeah, you got...
I have.
Medical officer has a flashlight.
Okay. Did that yet? I don't think...
All right. Do that. Shining the light in there, it reflects off, making it kind of hard to see, but eventually you get the right angle. This pod is empty.
It's not good.
Was this opened at all?
Yeah, that's the next thing to check. Can I go back to the thing I hacked? See if there's like any
pod
activity.
Yeah, looking through that particular pod, you can see that it was opened. The total time for opening and closing was about 2 minutes or so. Maybe a little less.
Is there any way we can tell if it was open from the outside?
Unfortunately, the data doesn't report where it was open from. It can tell you if it was open due to an emergency, but it doesn't tell you where. It does tell you that the log files tell you, though, that it was not opened at an emergency. It was actually manual manipulation. So that means that somebody actually opened it.
Wait, are all of the colonists adults? To my knowledge?
Yes, they are.
The only persons who have the codes to open these pods are you, me, and the captain. And we were all asleep. Can you please check the rest of them? Make sure we've got the same readout. There is a chance that some of these died due to unknown cryostasis problems for reaction to such an event. If not, we actually may have missing colonists somewhere on this ship.
Okay.
Which means we may not actually have full life support systems to get us where we need to go. There may not be any life support systems left for us when we get there.
So are there any more apparently empty tubes where we are, or do we have to go to, like, the other?
So
there's 10. There's 10 in this tube. We just checked one, so there's 9 left. At this point, while he is doing that, I am looking for a communications device to report back to the bridge.
All right. So, yes, within the door and the entryway, and there's one on either side, there is an intercom device that will allow signal different locations or just do an all points where it reaches out to everyone. You can directly interface with the bridge.
Yeah.
You know, on the bridge, there's a and lets you know that the intercom has been engaged.
Okay. I'll approach. Foster here.
Ah, Captain. Good, you're awake. How are you feeling?
Well, I was having a nice dream, but never mind. How are things looking down there?
Not good.
Fantastic. What's
so the one
situation?
pod we managed to get a reading from, there's actually nobody in the pod. And it was opened manually with a code. And the only people who know the code are you, me, and the science engineer. And all of us were asleep.
As far as we know.
You're right, as far as we know. We can go back and check our own personal stasis pods. But
I think
we're checking the rest of them. There's a chance that some of the 42 that are currently offline have actually just passed on due to poor reaction to cryostasis. So we're double checking that. We're going to check all 42. If we find that all 42 are missing, we need to start searching the ship, because there's a good chance that they have been awake for the last 5 years and we will not have the life support systems we need by the time we reach our destination.
okay. Meet me on the bridge when you're done.
Of course.
Checking the remainder of the tubes here takes you. The readouts are all the same, and in every case, after you manipulate the devices, you come to find out that all 10 are devoid of residents.
So the first pod was open for about 2 minutes.
Yep. And you see a pattern. Each one of the tubes, after you look at it and compare the timestamp, because the way the timestamp works is it doesn't say date, time, and then date, time. It's a sequence of seconds, and the way that it works says X amount of seconds from this particular date. And so it takes you a second to computate that. And you realize after doing that computation that it's about a minute and 5 seconds for each one of the tubes.
There's a minute and 5 between like one opening and the
Open?
next.
No. Open for 1 minute and 5 seconds, closed.
On all of them?
Each one of them. 1 minute, 5 seconds.
You've got more of a brain for this than I do, but
But
if we're
Some-
missing 42 people before we check them, and we assume that this is what's happened to every single one of them, we have 32 left to check.
the math doesn't add up on the time for the 45 minutes.
Well, I'm no expert, but doesn't that mean people pulling these colonists out of the pods then? They were able to do it in 45 minutes and still pull all of those folks out.
There might, with a minute and 5, 42 people, that might go right up to 45, but
But then
Well,
how'd
we
they
have
get out
we
of
have
here?
video of what happened after.
Well, they had a
Maybe-
large squad of folks doing it.
Yeah, that's not a one-person job.
But
So then approximately how many people are we dealing with, you think?
we don't know. Let's finish checking the rest of the pods.
All right.
And then we'll report back to the captain and we'll figure out
You're
what
the
the hell is
boss.
going on here. My other question is, why did it take it 5 years to wake us up? I think once we finish checking these out, that might be your next job.
Go to the next batch of pods.
So leaving tube 3, you go down to tube 4, which is below it?
Yeah.
All right. Entering into there, you find there are 11 of the empty pods. All 11 of those pods in this particular tube are empty. Same thing. About a minute and 5 seconds for each one of them.
The whole tube is empty then.
Level on tube number 2. 10. All empty.
Well, something tells me they went through this whole tube first, got whatever they could out of the other pods, and then went for it.
Tube 1
Begs the question.
is 11 more empty pods.
Begs the question. They must have been on a time limit, meaning they knew exactly how long they were going to throw out our cameras. Then
How long have we been in flight when this happened?
Good question. Taking a look at the log, you see that you had been in flight en route to your destination for 120 years.
Okay.
So who the crap would have caught up with us and taken something and gone home with that kind of...
Is there anything... Do I notice anything specific about the names of the outpods?
Yeah, actually. Knowing what you do of them, since you were the one who went over,
Sorry,
for this, the travel.
Sorry, you cut out there just a little bit.
That's all right. Since you would have been the primary person to go over each of the colonists' personal records to make sure that they are healthy and well enough to survive the trip, no aversions, no histories of anything that would cause problems in cryosleep, you kind of know them a bit more than most. The names that show up, most of them are they're just people. A couple of them that do happen to appear, though. One was comes from a family of career politicians, and he himself was in law. First name is Stephen, and the last name is Peter. Pittor. Peter. Looking through the rest of the manifest of those who are missing, the only other name that I find was an entertainer, like a minor celebrity, like a top list YouTube star. Her name was Bethany Gale, Gale, Bethany Gale.
Oh, I used to watch her videos. She was a charmer.
Oh God. Anyways,
Not the time.
It sucks that she's probably
I
dead.
just love the Marines, just like, oh. It's
That's the sweetest,
not gonna be
sweetest
making a movie.
motivation.
Okay,
But
we can't rule out that we cannot say that they're dead. So we don't know. They're just missing.
That was out of character, but yes.
question on the tubes again. What was the? Because it was like on top of each other. Or
Yeah.
like higher up?
So it's 4 tubes. You know, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top.
Yep.
And then there's a ladder that goes between them. And then
Which were the 2 on the top?
2 and 3. So it goes 1, 2.
So they took the extra person bottom.
All right, let's report back. Head back to the bridge.
Real quick, do we know the gender disparity the missing?
Looking over the list real quick, it seems to be it's not an even number. It seems to be greater number of females were taken. About 18 females. No, I'm sorry, not 18. That would have been a disparity, though.
Wrong way, but yes.
Yeah. There are 28. Yeah, 28 females that were taken to 14 males. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, God damn it. This is horrible. Okay.
I say taken, missing, whatever.
Knitting, taking.
Really keeping a cool head there, Captain.
This is all out of character, okay?
Well, you're all assuming
You don't
they're
have that
taken
information
because-
yet. We haven't given you that information yet.
You're assuming they're taken just simply because of the fact that somebody got on the ship, supposedly, and then
Yeah, there's.
pods are emptied.
Sorry,
They
you
were
said there.
open for a
What
minute.
do you think they're doing? Having an orgy down in the med bay?
There is nobody in the med bay. I was in there earlier,
I would have known.
having an
Quick
orgy
question.
in my med bay
Without inviting
It's
you.
a sterile environment.
without inviting me. How dare they?
All right.
Quick question.
Mhm.
So something about the cameras. How much? What? Sorry. What did you guys say about footage or something?
They looked at footage from when the incident. There was an incident that occurred that set them off course.
Okay.
We still haven't figured out why it set us off course.
You do not. There's no indication as to. But at the same time that they were set off course, there was an incident with something that interfaced with airlock bay 7. They saw what video of the airlock bay being pressurized and life support, and then the door opening to the outside. They saw the very edge of a foot, and then around 45 minutes, the footage is just missing. And it seems to be, from every camera that they've checked so far, that same amount of time.
So there's 45 minutes of footage missing.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah, give or take.
So was it not recorded, or was it deleted?
I believe it was either deleted or maybe jammed. We're not really sure.
It's like the old VHS days. They re-recorded it over. You had recorded your soap operas to watch it.
And you get halfway through this really juicy tidbit, and then like something else starts playing.
And then all of a sudden,
bitch!
man starts playing because your son came home. That's what you watch later.
Soraya was about to kill that guy. Okay. So there's 45 minutes of footage just missing.
Gone. Not even there.
Not even there.
Disappeared into the ether.
Well, shouldn't there be like, I don't know, like error logs or something like that that would tell us if it was like a malfunction or if it was deleted footage?
I'll start looking for that, and I'll start looking for if anybody actually changed our flight plan.
Okay. Go
or
ahead.
If there was some force exerted on the ship, like if they had a ship, if they launched off of us and that pushed us off course or something.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Electromagnetic pulses.
Fuck you.
Space gook, you know.
Thanks.
I need to roll.
You're welcome.
So let's take a look at it as separate. For checking the log would be electronics.
I'm assuming with no modifier.
That is correct. The change logs, which is what you're primarily, don't appear to have any modifier to them. So it doesn't seem to be that they were at least hacked from what you can see. It doesn't look like somebody did them.
Okay.
And you don't see any errors with regard to functioning systems.
Well, now I'm confused.
Taking a closer look at it, since you did roll well, it looks like, and this is something the science officer real high on that roll. I said I don't think you rolled really spectacularly high on that roll when the change log check either. You see what was missed earlier, and there's not a fingerprint left behind like somebody hacked into the system, but the error logs themselves were scrubbed.
Like somebody that has access to the system, accessed the system and did this.
Or, yeah, somehow they got access into the system and scrubbed any of the change logs. You notice that the timestamp, the way that the timestamp works with it counting out the seconds from a particular date, there is missing data.
Is there a log of who would have logged in to make changes?
There would be.
Has it been scrubbed as well?
It is not.
Well, then I'd like to see who was logged in.
Okay. Taking a look at the change log. The only name that shows up to be have logged in around that same time just simply says Captain Marilyn Foster.
Shit! I fucking knew it! It was me all along!
Can I access the crew sleep pod records from here?
You can.
I would like to access
The bridge
captain.
can access any of the records that you like.
Before I tell the captain that her name's come up, I check her pod.
All right, checking over the pod. Nope. It has been online, and the readouts from that whole time period, there's nothing going on, nothing astray.
She probably used her birthday as her password.
She wrote it on a post-it note, put it on the inside of the.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds like something I'd do.
It's in her cabin. It's just right there. It's just a post-it note. It says username, password. As a guy who's done security runs for companies, that drives me up the fucking wall.
As somebody who's worked in a military facility, I can tell you that that's 100% the case. Everybody has their fucking passwords everywhere.
It's the kind of password an idiot would use on their luggage.
I'm going to change the password on my match luggage.
2, 3, 4, 5.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
She locks on my luggage.
It's the password of my luggage.
Can I find where the cameras were scrubbed the same way?
Yes.
Okay.
And so what you've pieced together from a little bit of the information that you had is the science officer was looking specifically for it to be hacked. They were looking for a fingerprint that shows that somebody had. What happens though is it looks like somebody legitimately logged into the system, scrubbed the cameras, and then scrubbed the change log, at least from that part. Didn't change the log in and log out because there's not really a way to do that. But it looks like that was somebody logged into there, removed the footage legitimately, parsed it out completely, and then made the change to where that was changed so that it doesn't look like it was there at all.
Good news, Captain. I figured out some of what happened.
And what's that?
Someone logged in and scrubbed all this, scrubbed the change log, scrubbed the cameras.
Okay.
The bad news is it was you.
What?
And I pull it up on the camera, show where they use your login apparently.
Sweats loudly.
So
You were asleep at the time. I've got the log of your pod, so.
Yeah.
Navigator, you're sitting here watching all of this happen.
I'm having
like
a
in the
silent
background.
breakdown. I'm like that gif of
Sipping
that
tea.
woman and the fucking trigonometry shit in front of her face.
Yes. Marine medical officer, science officer. You've checked all 42 tubes. All the tubes are empty. The log from each one of the reads out reports the same thing, and total open time, roughly 1 minute, 5 seconds, give or take, but all around that same
What?
time.
Why ain't that just a kick in the pants?
But you're right.
Is there would I be able to access the ship's computers from here? Or is all the relevant electronics around strictly for?
It's more for this area, and it's very slimmed down to basically maintain this location. Unfortunately, they're not as advanced as the Enterprise, where you can just walk up to any wall panel and go, computer,
Damn it.
and it would go, yes.
Is there anywhere where I would be able to access the ship's computers
Yeah, from the bridge.
Bay 37?
You mean the airlock bay?
Yes, that's the one.
Airlock bay 7. Okay.
Yeah.
You can access it from several different locations. You can go back to the bridge. If you don't want to go to the bridge, you can go back down to the Science and Engineering Division, which is where your office is. Not your cabin, but your office, and you can access anything there that has to deal with pretty much anything with the engineering. I mean, it has access to the main ship's computer. So. What are you guys doing?
But I think the Marine is right. This was not the job of one person. Couldn't be.
For once in my life.
45 minutes. It takes longer than that to get here. Well, not longer than that, but it takes a good amount of time to get from the airlock to here. To go through all
Get
four
bodies out.
for the specific ones that they wanted, which means they have to find them, which means they had the ship's manifest. Where the fuck did they get that? One thing at a time. It takes longer than 45 minutes to do what they've done.
Yes. And that's just getting the people out, and that's not scrubbing the camp.
There is
Getting
a team.
the ship's military precision.
And I'm no expert, but they ought to be really strong if they were able to carry that many people back to the airlock.
Shouldn't you be an expert on that?
Me?
Are you not the expert though?
Are you not the expert on all
You
things
are actually
strength?
the expert on that.
All right.
Whoever-
That's my
After
one
the way
area
you just pried
of
open the Navigator's cryopod, which you better hope we be able to fix so we can all go back into cryostasis after this.
We got plenty of empty cryopods down here. We'll be
You
Oh,
technically
shit.
wrong.
you
Take over a
Did-
cryo.
What does it
Okay,
matter which one we
I
sit
hate
in?
to tell you something because you know what? No, I'm going to explain this because you clearly don't understand. Each cryopod was specifically and genetically engineered to the person it was assigned to. We cannot just stick Quentin in another fucking cryopod.
listen.
Well, I mean, you could.
I'm
Just,
I'm not all big and sciencey the way you are, but I know my shit. So just let's get off before we decide to make this into something worse than it is. Yeah.
So the next thing to figure out is where the colonists are. Are they on the ship or not?
Yes, that's the next part. And if they're not on the ship, where the fuck are they?
I'm going to take a few minutes.
I'm
to
not
go
sure.
find something.
If they're not here, we can't do anything about that.
Well, I don't know. The captain's awake, so perhaps we should let the captain decide.
Just thinking.
You're absolutely correct, but we should talk to the captain. Also, I want to make sure that the captain is actually okay with my own 2 eyes, since it took her a lot longer to wake up than I thought it would. Make sure there's no
Navigator.
lingering cryo issues.
you've been looking at the nav computer. You've been analyzing it, trying to see if you can figure out any other way possible to correct this. More importantly, trying to figure out what it would that would be setting it off. Looking over the data, you take your data pad out, and so you're looking at it separately, and the nav computer monitor is here. And there's a little red light that starts to flash. Not large, not blaring alarm.
Wait, who is this right now?
The navigator. Taking a look at it, there's an alarming bit of data that's coming across concerning the current astrogation plotting. At first you're incredulous. There's no possible way that can. You plotted this with some of the greatest minds. You've seen this route. This chart is here. But for some reason, it's telling you that the current navigational direction that you're going to be taking. If you maintain the original course, is going to collide with a large celestial body. You're muted, I believe.
No, I'm quiet.
You're whispering.
I'm just really quiet. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Canadians.
Expect that a lot. I'm sorry.
Stop apologizing! Jesus Christ!
We're gonna collide with the giant star, celestial body. Is it our original? Like that's a lie. This is a lie. This is all a lie.
It has to be.
It has to be. That can't be right. No. This is alarm, so we're gonna go off. Is it like something in the ship, like maybe just like one of the boosters could be going a little bit harder than the rest of them?
It's a good
Maybe?
question. That is a good question.
You're doing great.
Sweats louderly.
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 Sweats even more profusely.
Yes. We're all sweating.
Wet gang. We're just like shit.
You can give me a mechanic roll.
Mechanic roll. Okay.
Yep. On your skill sheet, there's mechanic roll.
View.
No modifier. Maybe something that you're not sure about because you've not really ever piloted one of the vessels. I mean, you've piloted space vessels before, short jaunts here and there. But the solar sails and the way that they work with the ion thrusts are still new to you. To be something that you might want to converse with.
The captain?
The captain may know, but the science officer would probably be the guy you really want to talk to about that.
All right.
He's currently looking into the pods.
Yep. I guess what I'm probably gonna do is maybe contact him right quick. Is the medic still on the comm or switched?
No, they switched it off, but you can
Press
go
the
over to the
button a
comm.
couple times.
Yeah, you can push the button.
Bing, 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 bing,
No,
bing, bing, bing,
It's a
bing,
call
bing,
button.
bing, bing,
Like somebody standing at the front desk, just tapping the bell over and over again. Just walk over. The just watching V just consistently do this. It cycles through all four of them, and all of a sudden you hear the comm go over loudly. Hello.
Hello? Hello? Anyone at this point. First, anyone. Second,
So
probably name. Personally.
the ensign and the captain are just watching you.
Like in a corner, like cuddled just a little bit, like, holding.
You're just like,
Name, I think Quentin forgot how to use the intercom system. You might want
Yeah,
to
just like turning it on and off constantly.
It's
I'm gonna go over
like
the comms.
friggin'
Grandma, no, just Grandma, no. Click the mouse.
Press it
the left
once.
mouse
You
button.
don't need to
Grandma.
hold it. Let it go.
Yeah, don't have to hold the mouse button, Grandma.
Do you hear me? Hello?
What do you mean that everything got highlighted? What do you? No, go just click
It's
it.
like, hello?
No, click it.
Hello?
That's all you see. Is this thing working?
Can you see me? Can you hear me?
So sad that we all do. We immediately all.
Oh my.
All right.
So I'm gonna very deliberately go over, turn on the comm.
The
Yes.
channel is now opened.
Yes. Hello.
Name? Yes. Is there a way you can maybe just come back to the bridge for a little bit?
Okay.
Or is there a way you can check on any sort of like if the thrusters are out anywhere on the ship, or one's just having a better time than the rest.
Better time. Okay.
Just having a good old time.
It's just having a little bit of a bigger party than the rest of them.
Is there a reason I'm checking the thrusters?
We're gonna collide with a celestial body if we continue on course.
I'm
This is just one
Glad
clusterfuck
you're calm
after
right
another.
I'm glad you're calm right now.
I'm
Yeah, I'm just like
I'm gonna,
checking them. Just
I'm
like,
gonna go do that right now.
Can I hear this?
Wait,
Right now.
there's a
Listen
ball.
to the beep.
comma. I'll turn to the captain and I will now say, we're gonna collide with the celestial body. Like, is it a new star? We don't know if it's a new star, if it's been there before. How did it get here?
You have to understand, in my head, this is what I see. The captain and the ensign are looking at the logs. They're talking about what happened, and just quietly over in the corners. Hello, anyone? Anyone that isn't captain or the
Having a
ensign right
small
now?
meltdown.
And then all of a sudden, the medical officer's just like, name. And so there's this conversation calmly. Yeah, we're gonna crash with something. Can you go check the? You know what? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that right now. So that's all the medical officer hears. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. I'm gonna go check that right now. So all of a sudden, the science office just goes and just leaves.
just like
aggressive power walk.
Okay.
Full on 8 a.m. at the mall.
I don't want to be running, but
we're not gonna ensue a panic. It's fine. It's okay.
When you get to do whatever you're doing, please make sure you check in with the bridge. Marine, you're with me. Let's go.
Wait. They said there's a celestial body.
No, we're
Is it
not
one of the
worrying about that.
colonists, or-
That is not.
No.
It's not something
Then
you can
whose
shoot
body
out of the
is it?
sky. It is
Quentin,
not something you can
on
shoot
it?
out of the sky.
I'm on it.
Fine.
Okay.
Have you tried hard enough?
Quentin,
I don't know my directions very well.
how much? What do you mean? Okay, explain yourself first of all.
We were off course. Put us on course. Now on course. Same course. Celestial body.
Body.
Same course.
Ship.
Body. Star. Ship.
How much time?
How much time? That's a good question. Now. No.
Yeah, fucking die.
It's gonna happen in 30 seconds. Say your prayers.
There's just a planet there. No.
I just put the window open. It's like,
It's right there. It's approaching at a rapid speed.
Vanessa, let's be honest here. If you opened a window on a
Well, no, I mean, like-
spaceship, sudden decompression
Window.
in the bridge,
just sucked out.
everybody
What
died.
happened? It's like,
I just
oh, the
had to-
submarine is stuffy. Let me just roll down the window.
I just had you doing the Will Smith thing. All right. No, the course correction would have taken you 30 years. On the course, once you got on course, it looks like it would have been another 50 year before you actually with the object.
I'm just a
Okay,
What
I
is
do-
the object?
It just says celestial body.
I will say
Wouldn't
that
there-
wasn't there originally. I did this a million times.
So if it's not there originally, what's to say it'll still be there by the time we approach it?
Well, it's right. If it's new, it'll last long. If old, maybe it's not a celestial body. Maybe it's reading as a celestial body. Maybe it has the markers of the celestial body.
I'd like for you to give me another astrogation check.
As you're saying this, you just like run another check. Nope, this is actually
No,
a celestial
it's
body.
literally
We're gonna
happening.
die.
Like I think even if a sun or a star or a planet like recently went away, you still don't want to drive.
lot
I
of
mean, what the fuck do I know? I'm just a captain.
You know quite a bit, actually, about driving into large bodies with a ship at, like, Mach Jesus. You don't want to do it.
Mach Jesus.
We're going very fast.
We're gonna go plaid in a second.
Just faint.
You've ever walked into a room that's been familiar to you before, but something seemed off about it? Have you ever had that experience? You're like, I know I've been here before. Something is not quite right.
Mm-hmm.
As you overlook the navigational chart, astrogation, stars, and the plotting and things like that, you get a very real sense as a lead ball drops to your stomach. Something's not right about these charts. Something is off. Your calculations were correct, but it's like the sector isn't right. You're muted or quiet again.
No, I'm quiet. I'm like talking to myself at the same time.
No, sorry.
No, you're good. Don't cut it. Can look over the maps again. Would I have like say an original copy of the map, like my own personal, like something that I would have poured over?
Given what we know about you, you and I. Oh yeah, you would have your own.
I have at least 3 copies.
One of them is framed.
One of them is framed. It's over there actually.
I
It's on the
charted
wall
it
in the
myself.
navigation.
And checked with a square every day.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Great.
Yes.
Can I compare? I want to compare them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You take and unfurl your map. You actually keep a paper copy of it, along with a digital recording
It's
copy.
like holding this paper out.
You take a look at you unroll the digital copy from where you should be and the trip and then where you're at with the time and the distance. You line up the stars. No. There are some that are out of place. As a matter of fact, this should even be in this sector. You're not looking at the same sector. You take that moment to zoom out and recheck the astrogation chart. Where you're at and where you've been is a straight line indicating the traversal of that much of the trip. Past about a 10-year mark, not counting the curve, after your reconnection with the actual path, 10 years past that actual path, it's a dashed line, generally indicating a recalculation.
So we're just not in the right spot anymore. We're not on the same map. This is different. This is very different. God, well, I'll inform the captain about all of that fun stuff. That everything's different now.
Just slides the stuff over, so like none of this works anymore.
So you see how this star should be here, but it ain't.
Now it's over here, and
it's like, yeah, we're not
not
trying to freak you out.
I mean, I'm not freaking out. I'm not. You're not freaking.
You're a little sweaty.
Is it warm in here? God, it's hot.
Right. Faint. I don't know. Fucking on the ground.
Hey, look up there. All right.
Okay. Well,
I would like for you, Navigator Quentin Kane, who has a great name,
Thanks.
give me just a straight intellect check.
Straight in.
Yep. So on your character sheet, just click on intellect.
You got it.
There.
Doesn't feel good.
it doesn't feel good.
Doesn't feel good.
You're not sure. It's not. Doesn't make any sense. It's confusing. You've checked this time and time and time again. This isn't right. you're not off course. You're not even in the right map anymore.
Oh, just like trying to rub stuff off. Maybe it's the screen.
It's a data pad. Yeah.
Is that a crumb
Yeah,
or?
it's just you reset it.
Look, Smudgy's
just
fingers are on
sneezed
here.
on
I'm just
it.
like smearing across it.
When I hear what Quentin has discovered,
I would assume that
sorry.
nobody is. I assume that nobody's whispering. So.
No, quite loud.
I'm going to check and see if someone has changed our star charts.
Are you looking into the computer to see if they were modified? Okay, go ahead and give me another electronics check. All right. Medical officer, science officer, and Marine. What are you doing?
Well, we split ways. The science officer
Yes.
went to his office, and the medical officer and the Marine are on their way back to inform the captain of what's going on with the stasis pods.
You arrive at the cabin just about the same time that a minor discovery was made, and they're actually looking over information now. Name, you arrive at your office by going back up to the crew lift, and you continue down the hallway that sits above where the colonist pods are, hitting the main thruster core room, pretty much the powerhouse of the whole entire unit, entire ship is, and you go into your office and close the door and hum up your computer. It comes to life. Things light up. Life support was already on in this room. Medical officer and Marine. You arrived in there. I just said that. Ensign Skippy.
Mhm.
No, there was no changelog events. Even the scrub that says that anything was changed. Nothing appears to. The star charts that you have are the exact same one, and the current sector and star charts that are being reported from the computer are also correct. Nothing is being manipulated as far. It literally is two different things. Keeping in mind that space is a large area full of nothingness mostly. It's very easy for two of them to look similar, but not quite exactly. Name. You are sitting at your computer, looking over the thrusters. Go ahead and give me a mechanic. Just go ahead and give me a mechanic roll. Yeah. Nope. Thrusters are not pulling hard at all. They seem to be running at optimal speed. They are currently up. The powerhouse for the just fine. Everything is tip-top. There is not a problem at all.
All right.
Anything else you'd like to check?
Do I have a comm?
Yeah.
Britt?
Absolutely.
Okay. Comm, Quentin.
I pressed it a couple times thinking it's
Hey.
is it one? Two? Do I hit it twice?
Hit it
Don't
once!
hold
Once!
Quentin.
Quentin!
Quentin. Okay. So for once, I've got good news.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
The thrusters are great. They're fine.
Ooh.
Problem. So, problems on your end?
Sounds like a you issue.
Sounds like a problem. I'm just like holding my
So-
data pad. Like,
If you need to check anything else,
do the comms have cameras, or is it just voice? Because I'd be like holding
Just
the data
audio.
pad.
You're holding it up to the audio.
But there's a red light.
There's an alarm!
Hey!
Alarming!
I
I love
can't
how out of your
hear.
element you are, but you're in your element at the same time. It's like, oh, it's my nav computer. I don't know what's going on.
Checked it. Can I check to see if there's just like a glitch on my on the data pad or on the nav?
That's what the ensign had checked for.
Oh, okay.
Did you report anything back that
Oh yeah, I tell everybody.
Okay.
says that there is?
fine.
Fine. Okay.
I'm sorry, what else is wrong?
Yeah, how about you come to the bridge and find out?
I'm in the bridge. I'm right behind
Are
you,
you?
Captain.
Like right behind us, like
Yeah,
I
no,
was
no.
elsewhere
we
taking
came,
notes.
we came
She's throwing
back to
shade
the
with, like,
the-
behind her back.
the medical officer and the marine came back to the bridge
Okay,
while
perfect.
the science officer went to his office to check on the thrusters.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, Nain, can you check on why it took us 5 years to get woken up to this bullshit?
Whoa! Hey, calm down. There's a lot of stuff that went wrong. We're getting all the way there. We had to make sure we didn't have. We still need to find. Yes,
I'm on it.
I'm working on it.
I'll inform them of what happened. Please find out why it took us
But
5
hold
years
on.
to wake up.
Why did I have to check the thrust? Did she tell me I had to check the thrusters?
What did he have to check the thrusters, Quentin?
it was a glitch. It's fine. No worries.
Listen, we'll
No,
figure it out.
I'm gonna need you to tell me that a little more
When you're here.
reassuringly.
Well, there
Hey.
was.
I think you said we were gonna hit something.
No.
Are we still going to hit something? I'd like to know if we're going to hit something.
Maybe. On occasion, yes.
Yeah, current, yes.
Down the road. Years.
Listen, we have time to course correct again. So, just Nain, just check and make sure that all of the other systems on the ship are working as they should be, please.
Okay.
And then once everybody reconvenes on the bridge, we'll figure out what to do from there.
All right.
So,
Nain,
Captain, the
this is your office, and it's dark with the exception of your office, which is lit. The area around the power housing, it gives off a soft glow. It's quiet. It's basically a bunch of catwalks that sit around this large power unit. It's well organized. It's maintained as is their standards. As you're sitting there at your computer, looking over all of the systems, which all of them are reporting back normal operational standards, they're all optimized. There is a clink, clink outside of your office, as though something were dropped from catwalks or dropped onto the.
Nain's fucking dead.
Rip.
Oh,
Right.
Back on
sex
the
didn't
intercom?
even last the whole episode.
The intercom. Kink.
Am I still the closest one to it?
Hey, did you guys send anyone down to me for something?
No.
I think you want to do that right now.
I'm
Got
going
it.
down there. I'm going down there.
Oh, God.
All right.
Kane's already up. He's out the
What's-
door.
Nain, what's going on?
I heard something, and I don't like hearing stuff I don't plan on hearing.
What do you mean?
Especially when everything is going wrong.
Okay, don't panic.
How long does it take
Hey-
Tane to get down there?
It's gonna take you about 10. Where his office
Should
is.
Did he actually go alone?
I
Implying I
Those-
couldn't take them. Come on.
Tane's the Marine.
six of them.
Yeah, I know.
No, I think Quentin was asking if the science officer.
Whoops.
So do I have? I'm assuming I can lock my door.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Before I lock them, is there any
there
other
vents?
like vents? Great thing. There are
Oh, yeah.
other points of entrance.
Oh yeah, there's a ventilation
Oh
unit.
yeah, there's tons.
You're basically covered in.
Yeah, you can lock the
vents
door.
all
There's no
over the
windows, but no, there are ventilation units and for allowing for life support and things like that.
Okay. Grab a wrench. If there's a wrench nearby, like that.
Yeah, you can easily grab one.
Just gonna
You have a beautiful socket wrench piece in your hand.
There you go. Hit him with the old 1-2 punch, boyo.
ratcheting.
Fight the fuck out of some aliens.
It's about yay long, about that thick, nice and heavy. It'll do a number on somebody's head. You hit them a couple times with it.
Okay, I'm going to. All right, so I'm just double check on the comm. Someone's heading down here, right?
Yes, we sent Jane.
Tane.
Great.
Did you say Tane?
Tane.
Like Sade?
Yeah.
But with T and an N?
Sade.
Tane.
All right.
I love it. Okay.
All right, so I'm going
That's
to
cute.
wait. So, what's the walls of my office? I'm assuming there at least 2 walls are ship metal, but like
Your office sits kind of like a. It's
I'm
not a
assuming
square. It's
a bubble.
no. It's 2 flat sides. Then they kind of come in. Half of it, you got flat door that leads out. 2 walls that are slanted attached to that, and then 2 straight.
Okay, can I heard something outside. Can I see outside without actually
Yes, because there are large windows that actually look out.
Okay, I'm just gonna give the windows some.
All right, kind of tucking back behind your desk and looking out. You kind of wait for a second. You don't realize that you're holding your breath as you're doing this. Several seconds pass by, and then you see movement. Oh, thank God, it's maybe the Marine. Then as you look closely, it's not. It's her. You know who I'm talking about. She stops and she looks at you. The pit where her eyes black circles. Just the way that you left them. As soon as you kind of back up, the scream building up in your throat before you bubble out, you stop yourself as you look up and blink, and it's Marine standing there looking at you, kind of boom, boom, on the door.
Nine!
At some point in time, you dropped the wrench without even.
I take a second to compose. Go over and open the door for Tane.
All right, where's it? Where'd you hear it? What's the 411?
Let me at it.
So,
Let me at it. Let me at it.
So there wasn't a direction. I didn't.
It was kind of like you were looking through the glass on the right hand side. The beveled, the angled part, which also happens to be when someone comes in from any other direction in the unit, from the direction of where the bridge was, they would come right by the flattened piece. Then the first thing they have to cross in front of is that glass window. So what it looks like is that where Tane was coming from was where the figure was standing. And it looked almost as though you're not really sure, but you see it. Like you saw her, and then all of a sudden, the Marine was standing there banging on the glass. It's like that's what snapped you from that moment.
Okay.
All right.
I sort of shrug it off. I tell Tane to just keep an eye on out there while I finish doing all the checks I need the systems.
All right.
Since something fishy's afoot, I'm gonna go over to the comm and check with Nain.
Okay.
To make sure that Tane got there.
Yeah, it's been about 10 minutes, which would have given
One day I'll get it.
I'm gonna kick the next person.
Tane,
who says
Tane. We're all
All right,
Americans, okay?
All right.
We don't know things.
I'm surprised you didn't go Tane. It rhymes with pain.
Tane,
Which I have in my own every once in a while. I'm not sure why. It's just all right, so you hit the comm. The comm comes on, standing there, kind of still in your revelry a bit. Still kind of looking past Tane's shoulder. The comm crackles loudly, and of course, you kind of give a start.
Okay, I'm gonna go over. Answer that. Hello?
Hi, it's the captain here. I'm just ensuring that Tane got there in one piece.
Here and accounted for, ma'am.
Good. When you two are finished, come back to the bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Quentin.
Yeah.
You don't realize it, but you've already done your calculations 5 more times. No, wait. Maybe you had that number 6. No, wait. No, wait. Hang on. It's a new sector. Let's recalculate based off of where we're at. But first we have to find out what sector we're in. But how did we get to this new sector? We shouldn't have gotten to this new sector. There's no way. And you don't realize it, but you're starting to do that thing where you tap out that rhythmic pattern desk. That little thing that you do to help kind of clear your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Skippy, Nara, Marilyn, you guys all notice as Quentin is like tugging on his ear and tapping out rhythmic, kind of a like 3 short beats, 2, 2, 3 more quick ones, 2, 2, just over and over and over again. And they are just pouring over this entire sheet, flipping back and forth to the point where their blinders are on. They're zoned in on nothing else. As a matter of fact, you don't hear anybody else. You don't think of anything else. All you're doing is looking at the sector, and now you're looking at the larger sectors around you. And maybe there's something else as a clue here. You have completely just blinders on, and this is all you can see.
I'll go over, because this is concerning.
Captain, I would suggest you don't.
Why?
Because I am aware of his medical condition. He'll be fine. He needs to work through it. He will be fine.
Speaking of medical conditions, the stressful situation kind of has you itching a bit at your throat. Before you realize it, now you've kind of left a red mark on you stop and wring your hands a few times. Maybe you should go back to the medical bay and see if there's anything that can help de-stress the situation.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Of course. Just little residual cryo sleep. That's all. So just to give you a quick update. We're missing 42 colonists. 28 females, 14 males. Most of them are common folk that got drawn in the lottery. Few notables, the ones that would have bought their way on. Or I guess 2 in specific. A Stephen Petor, a family full of career politician. He's in law. And
Okay.
A small-time entertainer, Bethany Gale. This is a case of, if this goes south and we can't actually find them, we will have to report back, if at all possible, that they are missing.
Well, yeah. That bridge if we. Okay, well, once I get everyone together, I think I'm going to have to start to search the ship. Every bit of it.
Thought the ensign just said F it, I'm out.
Fuck this. Throw self out
He just
airlock.
walks to the bay, opens the door. Later.
I
Okay.
knew he wasn't cut out for this work.
First thing I'll do is I will go get clothing for both the ensign Quentin and myself, and get geared up. I don't think we'll be going back to sleep for a long while, if at all.
Tane, you are down with the science officer, just kind of looking over things, trying to investigate the sound that was heard. It's gloomy down here. Not much light. The running lights on the catwalks, the light from the powerhouse, the lights from the office, that's about it. Dark otherwise. Shadows are deep in certain areas. There's you have a moment as you're just kind of mulling over things. You're singing a song that once one of Bethany Gale had like shown up on her YouTube video, since that was the most recent thing that you had, and you're just kind of like humming it along in your head, and there's a sound, a very familiar sound. God, a sound that you thought you had left behind years ago. Gruff, surly, not deep and raspy, more natural. The sound of your father.
Oh shit.
And you just kind of, what do you think you're doing? Popping around here like you're some sort of celebrity. You know
Nothing,
you're
sir.
useless.
Yeah.
All you'll ever be is useless. And you look around, though, and it's nothing there. It's more of a whisper, like a thought that was in your head. As you look around, kind of chuckle it off. It comes back.
Right.
You're not even useful to these people here on this ship. Just throw yourself off the catwalk onto the ground below. Save them all the time. Maybe you should just head over to that bay. Open the door. Step inside. What do you think?
I can't. I have a job. They gave me a job.
Sure they did.
His hands are shaking a little bit, and he's sort of like he's crossing his arms trying to get it to like go away, but he's not totally sure where this is coming from. His brain's in a very different place when his dad's talking to him.
It's all right. We'll circle around it out that again another time. He's looking
What was
at you.
that?
He says, that's all right. We'll circle back around to that in another. Oh, look. He's looking at you now. Maybe he thinks you're crazy. And you look up just in time to see Nain, who happened to glance up at the same time. It's one of those things where I wasn't staring at you. We just kind of happened to lock eyes. Nain, you look over at Tane, who has his arms crossed and his head down. He's a very, very serious look on his face.
Are you all right? Usually saying something ridiculous by now.
Fine. Don't worry about it. Just keep him watch.
Okay. Stretching my left hand. Get back to.
You're looking. What are you looking over right now?
I'm trying to. I want to see what air messages from the ship would trigger the alarm to wake us up.
Perfect. Okay. Excellent. Go ahead and give me electronics. Okay. Subroutines are all in place. Everything seems to be running fine. You know that the only reason that they would have woken you up because of the So now it's more backtracking on what set the alarm off. But it's odd because that alarm, they were like, why did it take us 5 years to wake up? That's an interesting question because the alarm hasn't been going off for 5 years. And looking at it, the alarm sounded and you woke up right away. So then you start looking back at events that happened. Well, that event should have triggered something 5 years ago, but it didn't. Maybe they bypassed the alarm. So now you start looking for what was it that cued in the alarm at that point in time. And as you're looking at the data, the numbers for a second, all of the data, because it's a command line interface, not like a really pretty user interface where you can just click on things. You're typing in like using Linux, typing in the command, run,
Oh God,
bash,
DOS.
bash.
Before GUI existed.
Yeah, and you are running it, but as you stare at it, oh God, maybe it's just the sleep. You rub your eyes for a second. The numbers are, and the data just runs together. And you look at it, and you're just like, okay, it doesn't make any sense. Because nothing set the alarm off, but yet the alarm was set off by the, whatever it was that interacted with the bay. But nothing set the alarm off at that time. But the alarm was set off by what happened to that. It's like just a concurrent loop of information that doesn't make any sense. And you cannot determine what it was or why it took that long to set it off. The data that you can take away from it is that the alarm went off exactly what it was supposed to, but yet it didn't. And as you're looking at the data, you're trying to cycle it through in your mind, and you're looking at it. One or more of the numbers look like they kind of pour down the screen. Not pour down the screen is like the data just zip, but more like it liquid goes down the screen.
That isn't normal at all.
Skippy,
Bro, you okay?
these people are weird, man.
I noticed.
So it went off when it was supposed to.
Hmm?
Didn't go off. Went off when it was supposed to. But it took 5 years.
Yeah.
I hit the intercom.
All right. Reaching the bridge.
Bridge,
Hmm?
this is gonna sound dumb. Are we where we're supposed to be?
In what respects?
I'm not sure yet, but time does really weird things with space. To simplify, is there anything weird about where we are?
Well, there's lots weird about.
Not our situation, but
Quentin is freaking out because our star charts aren't matching up.
star
We're-
charts aren't matching up.
No. Like at all.
Does it look close to where like are we like in A and we're supposed to be in B, or is it look like A but a little out of place?
It looks a little bit like A, but out of place.
Is
The navigator just says we're in the wrong sector, and that's
the wrong sector. All right, we're going back up to the bridge.
Okay.
Sure. Off the comm.
go off comms. All right.
Tell Mr. Marine here
Mhm.
that come on, I think we have some Star Trek shit that's going.
All right, that I can understand. Like good Star Trek shit or like bad Star Trek shit.
Next
The way you
Generation.
just, yeah, like the way your face just went, I'm going to assume it was bad Star Trek shit. So let's
Always
get up to the bridge.
assume it's bad.
Yeah.
It's good Star Trek at a bad time for us.
All right. That's somewhat reassuring. Let's just go to the bridge. I'm gonna pretend I understand any of this.
I'll let you know if you need to do anything right now.
As you go to leave the area, you for some reason you don't know why. It's one of those moments where there's no explicable purpose or reason for you to do it, but you just kind of glance over your shoulder and you see her hair and her hand trail around the edge of the wall and disappear from sight for a second. And when I say her, you know who I mean.
Bitch, what the fuck?
The ring up in here. Oh.
Tane, you notice that the science officer turned to look over his shoulder. Shadows and darkness there. Not much.
What you looking at? Still worried?
We're fine.
Not to worry. He gives him a big. He's like, don't worry about anything. Something pops out of nowhere. I got you.
Okay.
Thanks
Get on our way.
for putting that seed in my mind.
Just
All right.
continuing to flex my left eye.
Making your way back to the bridge takes 10 minutes. All right, navigator. You are in the wrong. The only thing you can see and the only thing you can tell is that you're in the wrong sector. The reason that your calculations haven't worked or been failing, and the reason that all of a sudden, Celestial Body, because you were in the wrong sector.
Ooh.
The problem is, no. Damn it, you know. Programmed
No.
properly. Ensign, the navigator is completely zoned in. The medical officer, I believe, has wandered off to get supplies or something. The captain looks like they're trying to decide course of action to take. What are you doing?
If I haven't done it yet, I go put some pants on.
Good call.
Huh.
Okay, I'm just like stressing out in my
I'm
fucking
fucking
underwear.
naked.
Come back in, start going through all the videos, all the cameras we have access to. Basically, searching the ship as best I can from the bridge.
Okay, great. Doing remote searching for are you looking? Or just
You went out on me there for a second.
are you looking for anything in particular?
People, obvious damage,
Mm-hmm.
anything that stands out as what it should be.
So you start scanning the cameras, bringing them one on again. You go to the colony pod. Nothing in there. You see the medical bay where you see the doctor, who happens to wander in about that same time. Nothing there. You move on to the next. You keep going through. The mess hall seems empty. And then as you start to go, something in the mess hall draws your attention.
What's that?
So the trays that they use for this are stacked and they're sealed down. They're sealed within like strapped down so that they don't fly all off, float away. You notice that the strap is off, and there's a tray sitting on one of the tables, one of the many long, plain metal tables there. It's just sitting there by itself. You're just kind of watching it. It moves. It doesn't. There's no sound because just the visual. But you just see it move.
Like it slides somewhere, or like it just
Like it's squared with the table. It just shifts slightly. Space ghosts.
My worst nightmare.
Wow, I love Adult Swim.
Mimics.
Captain, let me show you something. I roll the footage back. I don't tell them what it's supposed to be happening. I just roll the footage back right before it moves and start playing. Make sure he's the
All right, Captain, you walk over to watch the video, or do you bring it up on the overhead?
Yeah, I bring it on the overhead.
Right. Bring it up on the overhead. You're seeing a picture of the mess hall. Someone has taken a tray and set it on the table. And trays are undone, so they're not strapped down anymore. Video plays, and you see the tray sitting there. Video plays, the tray sitting there. And the time stamp catches up to the current time. Nothing happened.
What am I looking for?
I thought I saw the tray shift. I don't think the doc's checked me out yet. Let me talk to the doc.
Okay, good idea. I think we're all getting stressed.
Doc.
Yeah.
You go over to your desk and reach in to grab your personal effects to take care of that little pesky problem. Deal with that. Bring yourself down. You crack the plastic on the little container. Take a deep breath. Your nerves still themselves. Your mind is clear once again as you're kind of fall back into that down section. Not a few moments later, the door to the med bay opens up, and your office sits just off of the med bay. It's got a large glass panel, and you can see as people come in. And you see the ensign walking in, kind of looking befuddled, if you will.
I'm gonna shrug into my coat at the very least.
All right.
Ensign, what can I do for you?
You hadn't checked me out once we got a cryo, and I saw something on video when I played it back. Nobody else could see it. I didn't see it when I played it back either, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, have a seat. I'll get you checked up. And I'll run your typical making sure that the pupils follow the flashlight and then
Sure.
check his vitals and whatnot. Make sure there's nothing wrong.
Yeah, his vitals all checked out, but go ahead and give me a medic. Just give me a straight medic roll. Because you're in your office, you get to add 2. So if you want to re-roll that and add your 2. Or I can just add 2 to that. Either way.
I'll
11.
take the reroll.
Oh, yeah, definitely take the reroll. Yeah, his responsiveness and his cognizance, everything he seems to check out, he is perfectly healthy. Might want to brush it a little better, floss maybe a bit more, but other than that, he's fine.
It might have just been a glitch in the system because you're fine.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
And we're all just coming out of cryo sleep, so we're all still trying to catch up on the fact that we're awake. If this persists, we'll run some more tests. But overall, I think you're okay. But you might want to put on some clothes. It's getting the temperature's regulated, but it wouldn't hurt to actually have some actual clothes on. It's regulated for us to be wearing clothes. I have a change of clothes here.